All right. So today we're going to be discussing the Shadowverse Worlds Beyond update summary. So basically, this was a presentation that was done online from Side Games, basically giving us a lot of info regarding the sequel to Shadowverse. I'm going to give my opinions based on a casual point of view because I am considered a casual player, maybe semi-competitive. Either way, that's going to be my perspective. So let's take a look at this and I'll give you my honest thoughts on this. Now, you can find this information in a variety of areas, whether it be on different websites. I'm looking at the Shadowverse game itself, looking at their info because they have it here and it's really convenient. So let's take a look at it. I'm not going to talk about anything related to esports because I'm, again, not that competitive. So I'm sure there are other people that are more competitive that will go more into that, but that's not going to be my thing here. I'm just going to focus on the game itself. All right, so a few things to note. Most importantly, we finally got a release date. It'll be June 17th of 2025. Pre-registration is now open. I pre-registered on Android. A friend of mine has already put it on his wish list on Steam. So you can do this in a variety of ways, and it is open now if you want to, get a head start on this. I believe in the event, if we had enough pre-registrations, we can get so many free packs. So I highly encourage anyone who's a card game player to definitely pre-register so we can get a lot of freebies. The Shadowverse Park. Now, when this was first announced last year, they were talking about doing a lot of extra stuff beyond the card game, like adding games like Mahjong, fishing, and other little stuff, mini games basically. It looks like they decided against all that, which I'm kind of okay with because I wasn't going to really participate in any of that anyway. They're going to basically just focus on the social aspect of talking to other players and just playing the card games. I think that was a really good choice. I strongly support that decision. Let's go ahead and just keep going here. I'm not going to go over everything. Okay, so a new mechanic is going to be added. It's called Super Evolution. So to kind of break it down, you're going to have a total of two regular Evo crystals and two Super Evo crystals. So basically, you'll be able to evolve a total of 4 times, just twice regularly, twice with Super. Now, here's the difference. With regular evolve, you're basically getting +2/+2 to your strength. And if you have any abilities, it activates the abilities. For Super Evolution, you get +3/+3. And for being +3/+3, you gain Rush. You can't take damage or be destroyed by abilities during your turn. Now, once your turn ends, then it's just back to, just being susceptible to damage and abilities and all that other stuff. Now, if you destroy an enemy, I believe, by attacking, the enemy gets knocked back into the leader and the leader takes a point of damage. I think this applies to Super Evolve only, if I'm reading this correctly. Also, a part that I did skip on, basically from the second player's 6th turn and onwards, players can Super Evolve by spending the evolution away. So basically, it's a turn 6 thing by the second player. But yeah. Now, not every character has a Super Evolve ability, but every character should be able to Super Evolve. So that's kind of something also to note. As far as other mechanics, so basically both players are going to have the same number of evolution crystals. Originally, depending on who goes first or second, one would have 2 and one would have 3. This time it's going to be 2 and 2 for both players. And the way they're going to balance it for people going second is they get a temporary play point that can be used at any time. To be more specifically, you get one that can be used between turns 1 and 5, and another one that can be used during turn 6 and onward. So that's how they're balancing it to make it as fair as possible with the changes to the amount of evolutions that can be done. So going first is still going to be advantageous, but at least second player gets something out of it. All right, so we'll just go ahead and keep on going. Oh, starting players' hands, we will have 4 cards to start instead of 3. I like, so far, everything that I've talked about, I like. I think these are all good ideas. I'm not against any of this. You also get to use crests. Now, I don't 100% know what all this will mean. My assumption is that you can have up to 5 crests, and each of these crests give you a unique passive for your leader, or possibly for followers in play based on certain criteria or whatever you've unlocked. So it's supposed to basically add some more uniqueness to the game, so it's not kind of the same old, I know what I'm playing against, so I'm just going to prepare this way. You actually have to kind of look at what they're doing and basically plan accordingly. Uh, an interesting idea. I don't know how I feel about this yet. I'll just have to see it in play to be able to say, if this is a good thing or not. But it does seem interesting. I'll say that much. They are also shortening certain things to make it easier to read, instead of having like a lot of text. For example, intimidate can't be attacked by enemy followers. Auras can't be selected by enemy abilities, and barrier means reduce damage taken to 0 once before it's removed. So rather than explain some of these things that we see over and over, they're just going to use a key term, so that it's not a bunch of word vomit. So that's fine. I'm okay with that. They are also going to be providing some new leaders, because I believe there's going to be new story, of course. New story is basically exciting to me because one of the things that I like most about this game is that it actually has an excellent story. I really like it for the most part. When I do an official review of this game, I'll kind of talk about my legit opinions about Shadowverse's story, but that'll be a future video. But they did introduce some of the characters that are going to be usable at least during launch. You're also going to get a new character that's going to be kind of an AI helper bot that's supposed to help you understand the game. This will be good for newer players and people who have just taken a break from the game to kind of get an idea or a reminder of how to play the game properly. I think this will be good, as a refresher, if nothing else. If you're experienced at this game and you actively play it, you may not need it as much, but I still think it's a good thing to have. So I'm cool with that. As far as like the card schedule, the idea is they're going to release a set every month and a half. However, we're not going to have like mini expansions anymore. If I looked at this correctly, so in the beginning of regular Shadowverse, we would have a card set, and then we'd eventually get a mini expansion to that set. And then we get a new card set, and it would basically go back and forth like that. Here, at least for the beginning, we're not having mini expansions. We're just going to have a card set, and then a month and a half, a new set. And it's going to be like that for a while. Now, this may change in the future. I don't know. But for now, at least, at launch and for the foreseeable future, this is going to be how the card schedule will be. And I'm sure if anything changes, there'll be an announcement. Liquefying cards. Now, this is the one thing that I have some strong opinions about, and probably the only thing that I'm not a fan of. So I'll go into this. All right, so basically what they're talking about here is when you're playing Shadowverse, we have the ability to liquefy cards, basically cards that we don't want or don't need, and we can turn them into vials that could be used to purchase cards that we do need. I thought this was a great thing that we were able to do, especially there are only certain classes that we play. However, they're changing this to where cards cannot be liquefied unless you already have 3 copies of a card, which means you only can liquefy a 4th copy of a card and beyond. Now, the reason that they're doing this, according to what they've said on the live stream, is because they want to ensure that, or they want to incentivize players to play other classes. That's what they said. Now, I definitely disagree with this, and I'll give you a few reasons why. Now, as far as what they said in regards to motivating people to experiment with other classes, I don't think that's the real reason. I think that's more of the PR reason, basically a way to make them look like they're doing this for you, the player. But in all reality, all this really does is incentivize players to spend money to buy more packs so that they don't get to build decks as easy as we could here. Because for people like me, and I'm sure there are many other people like this, a lot of times we will pick a class that we want to use first, or maybe 2 or 3 classes, and every other class we'll just get rid of so that we can easily build a deck that could actually be functional rather than having to struggle in like PvP to try to hopefully get wins and not be severely unlucky to hopefully get more packs. And so what being able to liquefy other classes does is just lets us build decks a lot easier. Unfortunately, now that we're not going to be able to get, liquefy cards that are not duplicates, this is going to force us to spend money if we want to have a viable deck early. I don't like this. Basically, at the end of the day, they're just trying to make money. That's all this is. This whole thing about, we just want the players to experiment. No, that's BS. Let's be real. They understand that they're not making money, as much money as they would like. So this is their way to make sure they make money. So they're going to squeeze money out of you by forcing you to buy packs so that you can, build your deck. Hopefully, if you're trying to build your deck faster, that would be the way to do it. So I don't like this at all. I'm strongly against this. Like I said, their reasoning is more of a PR stunt, but at the end of the day, it's all about money. Like I said, I hate this idea because personally, I like to just build like 3 different classes and then liquefy everything else. And here's the other thing that I can push back with as far as the experimenting with other classes. Any of us who have experience in card games, who've been playing for many, many years, like myself, we already know what our play style is. So forcing us to potentially build other, classes of decks of decks that we don't even want to play because it's not our play style is not helping us. It's not doing any favors for us. Now, in story mode, you are forced to play other classes sometimes. I'm willing to put up with that. That I'm okay with. But as far as like playing against like other randoms like online, I don't want to be forced to have to build a deck of a class that I don't care about. That's not my play style. So I am strongly against this. So people that are casual or semi-competitive, you're going to have to either open your wallet or be very, very patient. So how do we get around this? How are those of us who relied on getting rid of other classes' cards to build decks sooner, how are we going to combat this? The only advice that I can give to you is do the story mode, because story mode does provide a decent amount of either packs or currency that can be used to help build other, classes. So if you're free to play, or just like a dolphin, I'll say, who just maybe does the battle pass or something like that, this is going to be kind of your way to build decks. Unfortunately, it will be a lot slower and you will be behind, which means others who spend money on just getting as many packs as they can are going to be at a huge advantage early. So it will take you a while to build the decks that you want, but this is the way that you're going to have to do it, because unfortunately, you're not going to be able to, get rid of the classes you don't want for the sake of building a deck sooner and actually having a chance at winning games. So I am highly against this. Again, this is just a money scheme. I understand that it's a business and they need to make money, so I get it. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of this at all. This is the one thing that I'm hardcore against, because if nothing else, it punishes those of us who like to play a certain play style. So that's going to be my opinions there. So now they are going to give us a free card pack every day for a while. So at least that's something that'll help you in terms of building a deck. But again, it's going to be a very slow process. Just understand that. And of course, where they're going to have events and stuff like that you can do that'll give you some like packs and other resources. So, you'll get ways to build. It's just going to take longer. I'm not going to go over the special events because a lot of those are in Japan and that's not going to apply to a lot of us. But that's basically it, to be perfectly honest. Because a lot of this is just going to be tournament stuff or whatever. And it also, if you are someone who plays the physical card game, I believe you can use like something on there to to use in game. So if you're a physical card game player, Shadowverse Evolve, you do get something as well. As I mentioned earlier, they do have pre-registration. If we get so many registrations, we get rewards. Now, obviously, the most that we're going to get out of this is basically 10 card pack tickets, but you know, every little bit is better than nothing. So, I do highly recommend pre-registering if you plan on playing this game. It'll be good for all of us. So overall, I'm happy that we got information regarding Worlds Beyond. I think that this is definitely something to be excited about, and I am very hyped for this. Like I said, the only thing that I don't like is the changing to how you can vial cards to, make other cards you actually need. Outside of that, everything else is good. But yeah, that's going to be basically my thoughts. We'll talk to you later.